Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Reverend George Henry Warren. And we're going to be discussing Father George's amazing memoir, Believe What? Where To? It's available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a whole host of other places. This is one you're going to want to pick up and add to your shelf. Now, before we go any further, I want to take this opportunity and quickly point out the fact that Father George was brought to us by one of the best publishing firms in the business, City of Books. So for my writers listening in, if you've gone through your process creating your masterpiece and now you find yourself at a fork in the road, right? You find yourself at a crossroads because you need some help moving that masterpiece you just developed, look no further than City of Books. They're one of the best movers in the business. Head on over to cityofbooks.com and gather all the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Father George here on the line. His life, man, it has been a tapestry of contrasts. Wealth and poverty, certainty and doubt, tradition and evolution. In his deeply personal memoir, he invites his readers into the questions that have shaped his decades as a priest, as a seeker, and a witness to humanity's deepest struggles and brightest hopes. This is a fantastic memoir filled with so much wonderful information. You're going to learn and follow his journey through his faith, and hopefully it's going to help deepen your faith along the way. Sit back, strap in, have your notebooks ready, and be aware, man, Father George is about to take us back to church. Okay, here we go. Father George, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, and I thank you for calling. I have to tell you, Ben, you just said it all. I guess you don't have to interview me.
Well, listen, Father George, you set up a great roadmap, man, okay? So if we go over some things once or twice, we're going to go over some things once or twice because it's so powerful, it's meant reiterating and doubling down on, man. It's a pleasure to have you here. I really do mean it. Your book and your life has been something fascinating and something that I know a lot of people are going to be able to take so much wisdom from. So it really is an honor here. Jumping right in, I'm curious to know, given your upbringing in, of course, a multifaceted, eclectic society, as you properly term it, how did your exposure to both extreme poverty and wealth shape the spiritual and philosophical themes in your book, Believe What? Where To?
Well, I have to first say that I must begin by saying that I owe everything to people who cared for me throughout my lifetime, especially my family, teachers, an awesome country we live in, and most of all, but by the grace of God, I can tell you that I was born World War II, right at the end of World War II. So that was a very particular and, to me, wonderful time in history. I think I had the best of all years in the span of my 80 years in this lifetime. But I began, as you said, in lower to middle class environment. Most of my friends and their families were first and second generation immigrants, mostly European. But as I went to school and got older, that expanded to just about everybody. And they are my teachers. I'm so appreciative of all of that.
Beautiful. Well, listen, following off of that, I know a big part of not only, your journey, but definitely a big part of your life now. You mentioned how your grandchildren inspire you daily. And that is something, coming from a big family myself, like I recognize the power and the wisdom that is found within the younger generations, man, and the education never stops. But I'm curious to know, through your perspective, how has the individual perspective of younger generations influenced your views on faith?
Well, I have to tell you that I didn't intend to write a book at all. I wanted to write something for my children and grandchildren for posterity's sake, because I wanted them to understand why I believe the way I do. And they are certainly curious about that. My oldest grandson is 21, but the younger ones are from 17 down to age 12. I began writing this 18 years ago, at least 18 years ago now, just to give them an understanding of why I think the way I think.
Yeah, I love that. Well, listen, without further ado, let's go in more with what you think in your particular state of mind and beliefs. Tell us more about your book, Believe What, Where To?
Well, I would say it's pretty much in three parts, in the sense that the beginning gives reasons of why I think the way I think, and that's important because it brings out my upbringing and people who taught me and the education that I was able to look for to answer my own questions. In particular, my belief in God, which came along early on, and then I had a huge desire in my younger years to be a foreign diplomat because of my background in the many cultures that I grew up with. So I began post-high school studies in philosophy, Western civilization, psychology, and theology. Ended up with theology because of the wonderful people I've read and who taught me questions I needed answered. And of course, the people, the teachers who guided me along. So it was a progress in the making, and I'm certainly grateful for all of that and all of them who brought me along as they did and helped me along.
Yeah. I'm curious here with this next one, Father George. Many religious books, they tend to focus on providing answers, but yours seems to embrace questioning. And I love that concept because, listen, I think oftentimes questioning something is almost frowned upon in a certain way, right? And I think that there is a lot to be gained in that curiosity. Just because you're questioning something does not mean you're being defiant. And I think that is key in a crucial delineation. Well, how do you balance faith and doubt without leading readers to either blind acceptance or total skepticism, right? There is that balance between the two. How did you find the balance for yourself as well as putting it into the book?
Well, let me tell you this. Very early on in my life, we weren't church goers, but my mother made sure I went to Sunday school if I didn't sneak away and avoid it. But I did get in there, and one teacher back then, very briefly, told us that God talks to us and we talk to him. So I sort of took that as a question home, and I thought about it. And one day, to make this short, I said, okay, God, if you're there and you're real, please let me know. And then I went off to play again. And I would say about 4 years later, dramatically, an answer came to me that God was real and was answering that question for me. That began my pursuit of questions. So I went to philosophy and looked at the Bible a little more, for example, and studied Western civilization because there's so many different thoughts and beliefs. I wanted to know. I was curious, and I found answers in many wonderful people who I've read and talked to who this guided me along.
Yeah. And
my belief never ended. It just got greater as my life went on.
I love that. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm curious to know, because dropping a bomb like that, it seems like there was a pivotal moment, right? There was something that really struck and diverted your direction. Could you go into a little bit more of an elaboration on what that experience was?
Well, let's see. I'm reluctant to do that because,
of course, without giving too much
right
away.
From the start. From the start, I even woke up from an exceptional experience to tell my mother, and I said she's not going to believe me. I was I don't know how much more it does describe in my book, but I tell in the book that Arthur told me that story. It wasn't me. So, it's a difficult story to tell because you have to talk with people who can understand what I'm trying to say. But the prayer was answered most definitely, and that answer guided me into all of my studies hence.
Fantastic. So let's switch gears here then. Paying it forward to a lot of current generations and even future generations of believers or even skeptics, we see this rise in skepticism or even this decline in following within the church. And I think that this is a great moment to ask such a poignant question. In an age of declining religious affiliation, what do you believe is the most critical spiritual need that people are missing today?
Well, what I believe is something we call peace, and everything revolves around that, be it within yourself or around ourselves. If we understand ourselves and our world, feeling peaceful inside about all of that, we can pursue a conversation of all the issues that might come up in life. I spent a lot of years as a parish priest meeting many people, but getting into their hearts, into their homes, into their problems, and from birth to death, including my own journey. And I just learned and grew through those experiences, and I described a lot of them in my book. Very incredible experiences where you could be a skeptic and say, well, that was a twist of wires in your brain, or there was God there speaking and working through all of it.
Listen, as we close out of here, Father George, my final question for you. If there was a particular message that you're wanting people to take from your book after they've completed it, what would that message be?
Well, I would hope that people who read my book will be able to relate to the stories I tell and understand why I believe the way I believe. And I think there are answers. There are many answers, but in the life that I followed, the answers continually came to me in all of my reading and relationships and every up and down in the life that we go through.
People, I'm telling you, the main thing that I'm taking from this, amongst a plethora of things, is the curiosity. The curiosity to deepen your faith, to question things. But again, as I mentioned during the interview, not question out of skepticism, not question out of defiance, question in a way of deepening that faith and understanding, strengthening that relationship. This book is incredible because it doesn't just preach answers, right? He wrestles with the divine alongside his readers through his journey. We are going to explore that with him. This is something that needs to be added to your shelf because it offers a lot of wisdom and a safe journey for you to embrace the curiosity and the questions that you all feel. People, one last time, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, it's a lot of other places. The book is called Believe What? Where To? By Reverend George Henry Warren. Head on over there today, pick up your copies, and get lost in this amazing book. Father George, this has been a true pleasure, an absolute honor. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Ben, you've been a pleasure, and you're wonderful. I appreciate it.